Prize are repeat offenders. Fox 45 News is looking into what lawmakers are doing to keep criminals off the streets. And we're learning more about a rideshare carjacking in Baltimore City, what we know about the juvenile suspect and how that suspect tried to get away from police.
Is the governor taking an active role in anti-crime policy in Annapolis, pressing Wes Moore for answers on what he's doing to fight violence statewide? A juvenile is accused of carjacking a rideshare driver, then running into a school with a loaded gun. Some new details on another possible example of youth violence in the city and school security concerns. A parent doing what he can to protect kids in school, how he hopes his innovative business can save lives in the classroom.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News at 6 starts right now with the exclusive Fox Track Your Baltimore Minute.
Lawmakers spending a significant portion of the 90-day session debating Senate Bill 1, looking to curtail where legal gun owners can bring their firearms, stemming from the Bruin decision from the U.S. Supreme Court.
Do you think the lawmakers are wasting their time with that when they could be using their time to go after repeat violent offenders and those illegal guns?
They are not mutually exclusive conversations. I think we can, as a state, we can and we should do both.
More than 36 people indicted in a citywide drug raid, and it's not their first time behind bars.
Of the 33 members indicted, 12 are repeat violent offenders. 2 of these members have been arrested more than 30 times.
Baltimore City Police say officers were following up on the carjacking of an Uber driver along West Fayette Street that morning when they spotted the wanted vehicle. Baltimore County's aviation unit followed the car before police say the suspect, a 15-year-old Carver High School student, ditched it and ran into the school.
This keep happening. They just need to shut that school down, like, before somebody get hurt.
And we are continuing our coverage tonight on Baltimore's crime crisis. A 74-year-old man hurt in a southwest Baltimore shooting this afternoon. Police say it happened along Lyndhurst Street just after 1. The victim was shot in the leg and hand. He was taken to the hospital. His injuries are non-life-threatening. Anybody with any information on the shooting is asked to call police. Also new tonight, an arrest in a murder case involving a ghost gun. 46-year-old Ricky Crenshaw is accused of shooting 33-year-old Terrence Cheatham earlier this month. It happened in West Baltimore on Edmondson Avenue. Police say a witness caught the crime on camera, filming Crenshaw arguing with Cheatham before he shot and killed him, according to police. Crenshaw is facing charges for both the murder and having a ghost gun, which is untraceable and has no serial number. And while the number of homicides in Baltimore is down compared to last year, Fox 45 News has found we are on par with years past. Despite the slow progress on the crime fight, Annapolis lawmakers are still clashing over what the best path forward is to stop violent crime. Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates's gun bill is in limbo with not quite enough support to pass. Right now, anybody 18 to 20 gets a maximum penalty of 5 years in jail, while 21 and older only get 3 years. Bates is hoping to set the limit to 5 for all offenders, saying the current sentences aren't enough to deter criminals.
A 3-year maximum penalty would only be 8 months, potentially incarceration.
Despite initial bipartisan support for Bates's plan, lawmakers have been slow to advance it. At the same time, Democrats are pushing the Gun Safety Act. That bill would limit where Marylanders can bring their legal weapons. The process leaving some Republicans pretty frustrated.
We've had murders and shootings, we've had carjackings and other types of really violent offenses, many times involving firearms. But once again, this General Assembly is not rushing to deal with the people causing those problems. Once again, the General Assembly is looking to pass restrictions on somebody else.
Well, today, Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost pushed Governor Moore for answers on whether he is talking with lawmakers about passing some of these crime bills. She has the latest tonight.
We tried multiple times to get a direct answer from Governor Wes Moore, but he's pretty good at skirting those questions.
Good morning.
For the first week of session, Governor Wes Moore has said public safety is a priority, touting the work while on national TV
To reduce violence in the state of Maryland, that it is working.
Fast forward to now, with less than 2 weeks left, and not much has been passed to curb violent crime. We pressed the governor on what he's done to put pressure on the General Assembly.
Have you used your position in the governor's office to really lobby and push lawmakers to move forward on some of those bills?
Yeah, I've been very clear with not just legislators, but with also people throughout this state that the #1 priority for any chief executive has got to be making sure that your people are safe.
Not really a specific answer, but more points to money he's allocated to law enforcement agencies to help with resources. One resource Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says he needs is a bill he's pushing to raise the maximum penalty on misdemeanor gun possession.
He's struggled to get this legislation through. Why not come out and say this needs to happen?
Yeah, no, well, I know this has had a difficult time throughout the legislature, and I know that we've got to be able to both get the illegal guns off of our streets. We need to focus on how we're increasing penalties for people who are carrying around illegal guns.
But tackling illegal guns and repeat offenders, there are bills in the legislature to do that, but we haven't seen you come out and say, we need to get this done.
Yeah, well, you have seen us working with the legislature, and at the same time, I want to see bills make it to my desk that are going to focus on keeping our communities safe.
Lawmakers spending a significant portion of the 90-day session debating Senate Bill 1, looking to curtail where legal gun owners can bring their firearms, stemming from the Bruin decision from the U.S. Supreme Court.
Do you think the lawmakers are wasting their time with that when they could be using their time to go after repeat violent offenders and those illegal guns?
They are not mutually exclusive conversations. I think we can, as a state, we can and we should do both.
What bill will target illegal guns right now in the General Assembly?
Well, I think as the General Assembly is going through its process, the thing that I want them to know is that the resources that we're putting in to be able to focus on increasing intelligence sharing, making sure that we are having license plate readers, so we're keeping these illegal guns out of the state of Maryland. I'm anxious to see what the legislature is going to do on their side to be able to make sure that they're continuing to match the efforts that we're trying to do on the executive branch side.
Do you think that they're doing that right now?
I'm eager to see what makes it through the legislature because I want the legislature and their push and their efforts to continue to match the push that our administration has on making sure these illegal guns stay out of our neighborhoods.
Is that happening?
I'm anxious to see what makes it through the legislative process.
Yes or no?
I'm anxious to see what makes it through the legislative process.
Again, not a yes or no answer, and that legislative process is quickly wrapping up. Right now, few bills to see measurable success with curbing crime are going to make it to the governor's desk.
The last day of session is April 10th, and there have been other bills introduced, like the Violent Firearms Offender Act, that would crack down on those repeat offenders and implement tougher penalties. But it doesn't appear as if there's enough political will or support to move on it. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
A state Senate committee advances Governor Moore's nominee to lead the Maryland State Police. Roland Butler's nomination passed despite questions about several problems in the state police department, including civil rights concerns while Butler was with MSP. There are also questions about the timeline of Butler's nomination. We don't know when the governor started talking with him about the job, and that's important because of state law, which requires a cooling off period between retirement and coming back to work to receive a pension. You can find more on the questions surrounding Roland Butler on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Now, a Fox 45 News alert in 3, 2, 1.
Breaking tonight, the Pope is in the hospital, apparently suffering from a lung infection. According to a spokesperson, the 86-year-old Pope Francis has been struggling to breathe this week and will likely need to be in the hospital for several days to recover. The same spokesperson says the lung infection is not COVID-related, but it's unclear how the hospital stay will impact Palm Sunday ceremonies coming up. The Pope was set to kick off the Vatican's Holy Week this weekend. For more on this story right now, you can head to our website, foxbaltimore.com. Mary?
Kai, thank you. A 15-year-old student has been arrested after being accused of carjacking an Uber driver yesterday morning in West Baltimore. And now police tell us the teen led them on a chase into a nearby high school where he hid in a classroom with a loaded gun. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker has details.
Well, Mary, we first told you about that carjacking of the Uber driver along West Fayette Street yesterday. It turns out just hours later, police were able to track down the suspect, a 15-year-old student here at Carver High School, where they found him inside, prompting a school-wide lockdown. As class started for students at Carver High School Tuesday,
they was like cold red.
A sudden interruption.
A boy ran in the building and just like it was scary.
Put them on lockdown.
How they let that boy in there if he got medical detectives?
Baltimore City Police say officers were following up on the carjacking of an Uber driver along West Fayette Street that morning when they spotted the wanted vehicle. Baltimore County's aviation unit followed the car before police say the suspect, a 15-year-old Carver High School student, ditched it and ran into the school.
This keep happening. They just need to shut that school down, like, before somebody get hurt.
In this letter sent home to parents, the school's principal says the boy avoided their usual security measures. A student sharing this picture she says was taken of an armed officer in the school. Police eventually found the boy in a classroom armed with a loaded gun before arresting him.
I have a program here with some interns.
Peggy Banks was visiting the school Wednesday when she first heard the news.
It is extremely scary for our students to be in a predicament like that.
She's concerned that the armed student was able to get inside.
I'm super worried how that even played out because, like I said, they have a security checkpoint.
The school's principal says they're reviewing their safety procedures tonight.
Super scary for all the students.
But Banks says
just crack down a little bit more on it.
It's going to take the community to teach kids.
Our fathers, mothers, cousins, aunties, grandmas need to do more with just being in our children's lives so they don't have and go down this bad path of carrying and toting guns.
There's a life out there for them outside of crime.
I really hope that this situation, kind of shakes up the city to show them that we need to do something and we need to change. And change needs to come right now.
Now, police did say yesterday that there were 2 suspects involved in that carjacking along West Fayette Street who actually carjacked and assaulted that Uber driver, but no word on any other arrests from police tonight. Reporting live in West Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
A community leader urging lawmakers to keep Boost fully funded. The latest on the battle over the state's private school scholarship program.
And your hour-by-hour forecast into the evening. Could see a sprinkle north, otherwise some partly to mostly cloudy skies as temperatures chill down only into the 30s. Some freeze warnings out for some of us. I'm going to let you know where and when we'll be back into the 70s, maybe near 80. My Weather Authority forecast.
A life-saving drug to combat the opioid epidemic. How a new FDA policy is increasing access to the overdose reversing medication. With less than 2 weeks left in the legislative session, the debate over the Boost program continues. The program uses public funds to help children across the state afford private and parochial schools. The governor is pushing for cuts to the program with the goal of eventually completely phasing it out. But supporters are renewing calls to lawmakers to fully fund Boost.
In today's day and age, children deserve as many options as they can have to succeed and have a productive life.
One of the supporters, Rabbi Ariel Sadwin, sent a letter to his congregation last night voicing frustration with the state legislature over the possible cuts. Governor Moore says he doesn't want to see public dollars go to private schools, while supporters argue the Boost program only makes up a fraction of the overall education budget. Cutting it would not save a significant amount of money, and public funds are already going to other private endeavors like housing vouchers and sports teams. Some new information in a listeria outbreak connected to sliced deli meat and cheeses from 2021 through 2022. The CDC says it is over and closing the case. The outbreak resulted in one death here in Maryland and a few other illnesses. The CDC believes contamination came from the food and not the deli counters based on DNA fingerprinting and widespread locations of illnesses. An interesting note, the CDC recommends reheating cold cuts to 165 degrees to kill off any potential bacteria. Also new tonight, a deadly fire in Garrett County completely burns down a home. The Maryland State Fire Marshal releasing these photos this afternoon, saying one person was killed and didn't make it out. This is what's left of the building that went up in flames around 9 this morning. It happened on Upper Green Glade Road in Swanton. The cause of the fire still under investigation. With drug overdoses near record levels, federal officials approve an over-the-counter version of an opioid antidote that saves lives. The nasal spray containing naloxone reverses the effects of an opioid overdose. It will come in packages with 2 doses. In case the person who is overdosing does not respond to the first, the nasal spray can be given to anybody, even children and babies. Well, there will never be another Hurricane Ian. The World Meteorological Organization's decision is not a surprise in the wake of last summer's monster storm that was responsible for more than 100 deaths and $100 billion in damage. They are retiring the name Ian. Fiona is also being retired. The bulk of the damage in the Caribbean and Canada.
Yeah, remember those 2 storms well, and of course, Southwest Florida still trying to recover from some of that. Now, take a look here on the HD radar. Some rain to our north, the Mile One Task Cam and Toyota Eastern Harbor Sky Cam. Just a few patchy clouds, but those showers, the next weather maker, it's threatening us as we head into the evening and overnight hours. Now, don't expect a whole lot here, but it is a cold front, and behind that, it will get colder. In fact, a freeze warning in effect for northwestern Howard County into the early hours of Thursday. Because of that colder air, any tender plants, tender vegetation north and west of the city, that has to be brought inside. Temperature's going to settle down into the 20s to near 30 by early tomorrow morning. Right now, about 60. It's 59 on the Toyota Eastern Harbor Skycam. The wind out of the west at 9. Our humidity is nice and low at 24%. So that means as that system gets closer to us, all the rain with it, it's going to be drying up. 61 at Laurel right now, 61 ahead of that front at Frederick. We're at 59 in Baltimore, 55 at Bel Air. Temperature right now at 54 at Elkton, 58 in Chestertown, and 56 at the base of the Bay Bridge down Stevensville way. And temperatures really all across the state pretty similar in the 50s to near 60, except right near the water in Ocean City and out in Oakland in some of those highest elevations in the mid to upper 40s. Outside of that, we do have some clouds as that front is making the push southbound. There's a colder weather toward Detroit, Chicago, especially Minneapolis and Bismarck. Look at those teens, 20s. That's it. And those temperatures, thankfully, won't make a whole lot of inroads southbound toward us, but we are going to see at least a stray sprinkle shot as the very southern end of this kind of swoops our way. Look at that rain to snow off to the north in Pennsylvania, as well as up into New York, eventually New England. But we are going to see a little bit of a cool down behind this, maybe by about 5 to 10 degrees, and a little breeze as well. So it'll be noticeably cooler for tomorrow, and below average, in fact, as the warmer air gets shoved down to the south and east, and that front continues to push eastbound in a way. So it's sunny skies for tomorrow. Friday, though, clouds increase, and that next weather maker that's hanging out in the west coast of the United States, that is going to be moving toward us. So overnight tonight into tomorrow, again, there's your sprinkle chance through just after midnight. Then that passes east and away. Look at those cold numbers down into the 20s to around 30 north and west, low to mid 30s along and east of the I-95 corridor. You're going to need heavy jackets for tomorrow morning, and then about 50 to 55 tomorrow. 33 for tonight, mostly cloudy, sprinkle well north, then clearing late tonight, 52 and bright skies tomorrow, breezy and cooler. Exclusive 10-day forecast coming up in just minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
And today, the bird is the word. Our focus starts in Maine, where an eagle is proudly perched in a tree, possibly thinking about the next meal from nearby Moose Pond. Migrating hummingbirds are arriving in Alabama. This ruby-throated hummingbird is coming in for a landing and likely a drink of nectar, while a pair of purple finches takes a break in Ohio en route to their northern breeding grounds.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
Art you can take off the wall and use to stop bullets, the way a father is trying to keep students safe from school shootings. In tonight's Assignment America, school districts across the country are looking into every option to keep students safe. Marisa Mendoza from our Sinclair sister station in San Antonio reports on an innovative idea.
Billy Gibbons started his business back in 2019, shortly after the Parkland school shooting in Florida. He's a father of 3 and wanted to do something to keep his children safe as well as others. Now, so far, Billy Gibbons says the bulletproof shields are in over 20 independent school districts, and close to 300 schools have them hanging on a wall somewhere. In addition to those schools, just recently, Gibbons says a public college system in Texas is now working with him, as well as some schools in New York, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, and Florida. It's bittersweet because he says as his business grows, unfortunately, so does the epidemic of an active shooter situation.
For me, this is a mission to do what I can. I can't address the gun issue. I can't address the mental health issues. I can't, I'm only doing what I can, what I know how to do. I would strongly prefer if I did not have to do this. Making a shield that's going to an elementary school to protect against an active shooter is it's sickening to me. It's not something that there's there is no joy in any of this. That's it. I mean, we shouldn't have a society where kids can be killed just going to school.
Gibbons says the popular size for the shields are typically 16 by 20 inches and run between $1,200 to $1,600 each. Most schools order the shields with either their school logo and or the American flag on them. Now, Gibbons says most of the shields purchased by schools are not at a point yet where they're in every classroom. Those purchased by the schools are usually placed in the resource officer's office or in a main area of the school where it's easily accessible to school staff. Near downtown, Marisa Mendoza, News 4, San Antonio.
All right, we got your exclusive 10-day forecast on deck, and for tomorrow, chillier day, 52, some frost and freeze conditions north and west, 67, late shower on Friday. AM showers and windy on Saturday. That's going to be the main story, and it will be warm, 75 to 80, back to 58 and sun on Sunday. Clouds increase again on Monday, late 67, mid-70s. Wednesday, Thursday, spot showers, and it stays nice and mild all the way through the end of next week.
Well, finally tonight, take a look at this. A group of college athletes taking the time to help out an elementary school here in Baltimore. Members of the Morgan State football team and their coaches meeting with students at Northwood Elementary to read to kids and talk to them about preparing for college and life. A big thank you to the team for getting out into the community and making a difference. Hope they have a good season. Well, that's all for